The air in the private dining room of the luxury restaurant smelled of aged oak, white truffles, and quiet desperation. It was 7:45 p.m. on a chilly Tuesday, and the silence in the room was heavy enough to make a man hold his breath. I adjusted the knot of my silk tie in the reflection of a crystal water goblet. At 58 years old, I had spent 15 years as the Director of International Relations at Vanguard Logistics Group, and tonight was the absolute peak of my career. The document sitting on the table represented a $5 billion logistical alliance with Sato Heavy Industries, the industrial giant that controlled shipping networks across East Asia. The chair at the head of our table belonged to Bradley Preston, our newly appointed Chief Executive Officer, and he was already 20 minutes late. Across from me sat Mr. Kenji Sato, the 70-year-old chairman of the conglomerate. His expression was calm, a mask of polite patience, but I could see the tiny tightening in his jaw. In Japanese corporate culture, punctuality is not just about a clock. It is a sign of respect and personal discipline. Being late is an insult. Being 20 minutes late is a quiet declaration of disrespect. Mr. Sato leaned forward slightly, his voice soft. Perhaps the traffic in this city is more congested than I remember, Sawyer-san. I bowed my head respectfully. The streets of Chicago are unpredictable, Sato-san. However, I am certain Mr. Preston is doing everything in his power to arrive and honor this meeting. I was lying. I knew exactly where Bradley Preston was. 5 minutes ago, my phone had buzzed with a message from Rachel Barnes, the head of human resources. Bradley was still in the lobby, loudly arguing on his cell phone with his personal broker about his golf club membership fees. I forced myself to maintain a calm, relaxed smile. Over my 15 years here, I had learned that trust takes decades to build and only seconds to destroy. At 7:58 p.m., the double doors swung open. Bradley Preston walked in. He was 42 years old, wearing a custom Italian suit that cost more than a decent car, but he wore it like armor rather than clothing. He did not look apologetic. He looked energetic, like he had just walked off a tennis court instead of keeping a multi-billion-dollar client waiting. "Gentlemen," Bradley boomed, his voice echoing off the high ceiling. He did not bow. He did not nod. He walked straight to the head of the table, pulling his heavy chair back with a loud scrape. "Apologies for the delay. I had to deal with a vendor who tried to nickel and dime us. You know how it is in corporate life. Business is war." The silence from Mr. Sato and his team was absolute. Mr. Sato looked at me. I gave a tiny, almost invisible nod, signaling that I would handle the situation. "Mr. Preston expresses his deep regret for the delay and is honored by your presence." I translated in Japanese, keeping my voice calm and polite. "He has been resolving an urgent operational matter to ensure the absolute stability of our future alliance." Mr. Sato's eyes softened slightly. He understood the business protocol. He knew I was cleaning up the mess. Bradley looked at me, his eyebrows furrowing. "What did you say, Julian? Keep it literal. I do not need you softening my edge. They need to know they are dealing with a predator, not a charity." My stomach twisted. "I was merely translating the standard apologies for your delay, Bradley." "I did not apologize," Bradley snapped, grabbing a bread roll and ripping it apart. I explained. "There is a massive difference. Now, let us order drinks. I want the finest scotch they have. Do they have the premium single malt, or is that too common?" He waved dismissively at the waiter. "Get us the good bottles, quick!" I closed my eyes for a brief second. This was not just bad manners. It was the systematic destruction of everything I had built over the last year. Mr. Sato was a traditionalist. He valued humility and mutual respect above profit margins. Bradley was treating him like a minor supplier at a trade show. "Bradley," I whispered, leaning closer. "Mr. Sato does not drink hard liquor before the main course is served. It is customary to begin with a light sake or green tea." Bradley held up a hand to stop me, his eyes glued to his phone screen as he checked his stock app. "I read a brief guide on doing business in Asia on my flight yesterday. I know exactly what I am doing." "Stop trying to protect me, Julian. You are here to translate my words, not my culture. Stick to the script." I felt a cold shiver at the back of my neck. Stick to the script. There was no script for this disaster. We were walking a thin wire over a deep canyon, and Bradley had just brought out a pair of scissors. By the time the appetizers arrived, the atmosphere had turned completely toxic. Mr. Sato sat in quiet observation, watching how Bradley spoke to the waitstaff, how he checked his smartwatch every 3 minutes, and most of all, how he treated me. So Bradley said, chewing loudly, "Let us talk numbers. $5 billion. It is a large sum, but looking at your logistics network, I believe we can find another 10% in efficiency if we eliminate your legacy workers." Too much old weight. I froze. Legacy workers in Mr. Sato's company meant veterans who had given 30 or 40 years of service. In Japan, lifetime employment was a sacred bond. Suggesting they were dead weight was a deep insult. I turned to Mr. Sato, refusing to translate the insult. "Mr. Preston suggests that our integrated software can optimize the workflow to support your senior staff, making their daily tasks more manageable," I said, in Japanese. Mr. Sato smiled, a thin, knowing look in his eyes. "You are a gentleman, Sawyer-san." But I understand enough English to know the words old weight. My blood ran cold. He had understood. Bradley looked between us. What is he saying? Is he agreeing? He looks like he is agreeing. Good. Tell him I want the contract signed before dessert. "I have a private flight to catch in the morning, Bradley," I said, dropping the polite tone. "We cannot rush this. The formal signing ceremony is set for tomorrow at the corporate office. Demanding it now is a sign of distrust." Bradley slammed his fork onto the porcelain plate. The sound was like a gunshot in the silent room. "Disrespectful?" He laughed, a harsh, mocking sound. "You know what is disrespectful? You questioning my authority in front of my clients. I am the CEO, Julian. You are a tool I use to speak to these gentlemen. Do not confuse your utility with actual authority." He stood up, throwing his cloth napkin onto the table. He walked over to Mr. Sato, extending his hand. "Sato-san, let us cut the games. Shake on it now. We have a deal." Mr. Sato remained seated. He did not look at Bradley's hand. He looked up at me. "Sawyer-san," Mr. Sato said, his voice quiet but incredibly heavy. "Does this man speak for the soul of your company? Or do you?" I stood up. "Mr. Sato, I—" "Sit down, Julian," Bradley roared, his face turning red. "I have had enough of your interference. You think because you have been here 15 years you run the company? You are a relic, Julian, a dinosaur." He turned to Mr. Sato's team, gesturing at me with a wave. "Ignore him. He is just the translator. He does not make decisions. He just repeats what I say. Honestly, I do not even know why we pay him a director's salary." The room went dead silent. "Just the translator," Mr. Sato repeated, the English words sounding heavy. "Exactly," Bradley said. "In fact, I am making an executive decision right now. We need a fresh start. Julian, you are fired. Pack your desk tomorrow. We will use an app to translate the rest of our business." I felt the warmth drain from my face. I was not angry. I was in absolute shock. 15 years of my life. Billions of dollars in international contracts secured. Fired over a dinner plate by a man who did not know the difference between a respectful bow and a nod. "You cannot do this." "Bradley," I said quietly. "I just did," he sneered. "Get out of the room now." I looked at Mr. Sato. I bowed deeply, a full 90-degree bow, holding it for 3 seconds. It was a bow of apology, farewell, and deep shame. "I am truly sorry, Sato-san," I said in Japanese. I straightened my jacket, turned my back on the table, and walked out of the room. The next morning, the corporate office felt cold. News of the failed dinner had not been officially announced, but bad news in a corporate building travels faster than light. When I swiped my security badge at the lobby turnstile, the sensor flashed red. Access denied. I was not surprised. Bradley was a petty man, and he wanted to erase my presence as quickly as possible. I stood there, holding my breath, as the hum of the busy lobby washed over me. Peter, the head security guard who had greeted me every morning for a decade, walked over. He refused to look me in the eye. "I am sorry, Mr. Sawyer," Peter whispered, looking down at his shoes. "I have strict instructions. You are not allowed on the office floors. Rachel from HR is bringing your things down." "It is fine, Peter," I said softly. "You are just doing what you were told." 5 minutes later, the elevator doors opened. Rachel Barnes walked out, carrying a single cardboard box. Her face was flushed, and she walked with a stiff, angry stride. She pushed the box into my arms. "Here is your desk plant, your family photos, and your Employee of the Decade award," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "Thank you, Rachel," I replied, offering a weak smile. She leaned closer, lowering her voice to a whisper. "He is panicking, Julian. He has been in a closed meeting with the legal team since 6 a.m. He is trying to change the story. He is telling the board of directors that you sabotaged the dinner, that you were intoxicated, and that you insulted Mr. Sato's family. I felt a surge of heat in my chest. That is a complete lie. I know, she whispered. But he is the CEO. The board will believe his version unless we can prove otherwise. She glanced around the lobby before slipping a folded piece of paper into the pocket of my coat. Do not open this here. Go. Rachel, you are risking your job, I warned. I lost my respect for this place last night, she said, turning back toward the elevators. Just go. I walked out of the building, holding the box. It was raining, a gray drizzle that soaked into my suit. My phone buzzed with a notification from my market app. Vanguard Logistics Group stock was down 4% in pre-market trading. The rumors were already spreading. I got into a cab. I did not go home. I gave the driver an address in the garment district, a small office above an old bakery. I needed the help of a friend. The sign on the frosted glass door read, Pierce Data Consulting. I knocked. We are closed! A loud voice shouted from inside, unless you have lunch or a legal warrant. It is Julian, I called out. There was a silence followed by the sound of locks turning. The door opened. Harvey Pierce had not changed at all. He wore a faded hoodie, and his office smelled of strong coffee and electronics. He was surrounded by a wall of glowing monitors. Servers humming loudly in the corner. Julian Sawyer, Harvey said, leaning against the doorframe. The man who speaks 5 languages but cannot remember to call his old friend. You look terrible. I feel terrible, I said. Setting the box down on a pile of equipment, I need a favor. You do not need a favor, Julian, Harvey replied, spinning his chair. You need a miracle. I have seen the financial news. CEO ruins dinner, blames his veteran translator. That is you, right? That is me, I said. Bradley is claiming I was drunk. He is going to destroy my reputation. If he succeeds, I will never work in this industry again. Harvey cracked his knuckles. So what is the plan? Do we sue him? That takes years, no, as I said, pulling the folded paper Rachel had given me from my coat pocket. I opened it. It was a printed email from Bradley to his personal attorney, sent at 11:30 p.m. the previous night. The email read, We need to build a narrative immediately. Sawyer was unstable. Find something in his personnel file, missed deadlines, complaints, anything. If we cannot find it, manufacture it. The board must not know I lost the Sato deal. Fix this. My hands trembled as I read the words. He is going to ruin me. Harvey snatched the paper. His eyes narrowed as he read. This is a battle. He turned to his keyboard. He wants to dig into your past? Let us look into his. He has only been CEO for 3 months. Before that, he managed a private fund that quietly collapsed. I guarantee he left a digital trail. What are you going to do? I asked. I am going to dig, Harvey said, a small grin appearing on his face. I am going to find the entire landfill, but I need access to the internal network. Did you keep your office laptop? They confiscated it, I said. My credentials have already been revoked. Harvey laughed. Revoked for a regular user, sure. But didn't you tell me that Donald Miller in IT owes you for helping his son get that internship in Tokyo? I nodded slowly. Call him, Harvey said. Get us a back door. Give me 20 minutes inside the system, and I will find what Bradley is hiding. I pulled out my phone. My finger hovered over Donald's name. This was the line. If I did this, there was no turning back. I was no longer just a dismissed employee. I was actively fighting back. I thought about Mr. Sato. I thought about the insult to the legacy workers. I thought about the handshake Bradley had refused. I pressed call while Harvey worked on the system, typing at a speed that made his fingers look like a blur. I sat in the corner of his office, watching the rain run down the glass. My phone buzzed again. It was a text from Rachel. It is getting worse, the message read. Bradley just called an emergency all-hands meeting. He is going to announce your termination to the entire company and blame you for the lost contract. I showed the message to Harvey. Perfect, Harvey said, not looking up from his monitors. Let him speak. The more lies he tells, the deeper he digs his own grave. Tell Rachel to record the meeting on her phone. Just the audio. Why? I asked. Because Harvey explained, I just found something interesting in the corporate bylaws. There are strict clauses about termination without cause and the fiduciary duty of the executive officers. If he lies to the shareholders and the employees about why a major deal failed, that is not just corporate politics. That is security fraud. 10 minutes later, Harvey spun his chair around, a look of triumph on his face. Got it. Got what? I asked, walking over Bradley's internal calendar and his deleted messages. Harvey said, "It turns out our new CEO did not just ruin the dinner because he is arrogant. He had a financial interest in the failure." I stared at him. "What do you mean? Look at this." Harvey pointed to a series of financial transactions on his screen. He was short-selling Vanguard Logistics Group stock through a shell corporation registered in the Cayman Islands. I stared at the numbers. He wanted the stock to drop? He wanted a temporary drop, Harvey explained. He wanted to create a short-term crisis, blame it on the old management and the legacy staff, buy back the stock at a massive discount, and then swooped in to save the deal later. He was gambling with the company's survival to fill his own pockets. I felt a wave of nausea. He destroyed a $5 billion partnership on purpose? He thought he could control the damage, Harvey said. He assumed Mr. Sato would come back to the table. He did not realize how much you personally mattered to the deal. He did not expect the walkout. My phone buzzed. It was an audio file from Rachel, the recording of the meeting. Harvey connected it to his office speakers. Bradley's voice filled the room, sounding hollow but clear. "It is with a heavy heart that I announce the departure of Julian Sawyer," Bradley's voice said. His behavior at the dinner was erratic. He was visibly intoxicated and insulted Mr. Sato's family. "We are doing everything we can to salvage the situations." I listened to the lies, my hands clenching into fists. "He called me a drunk," I whispered. "I have not had a drink in 15 years. "We know that," Harvey said, "and soon the board will know it too. But we cannot just show them this audio. It is his word against yours. We need a definitive legal option." "What do we have?" I asked. Harvey turned back to the screen. "You mentioned a contract detail from the original agreement with Los Sato Heavy Industries. The software license." "Yes," I said, "but that is a technical detail. The license for the logistics algorithm is held by Vanguard Logistics Group." "Are you sure?" Harvey pressed a key, opening a PDF of the 2008 Master Agreement. "Look at the legal registry. It does not list the company as the primary guarantor. It lists a specific individual as the cultural guarantor. Without that guarantor being actively employed, the license is immediately terminated." He zoomed in on the document. The name printed in the registry was Julian J. Sawyer. I stared at my name. I had forgotten. It was a legal detail we put in years ago to satisfy the Japanese regulators who wanted a personal contact for the technology transfer. "Do you realize what this means?" Harvey asked, his eyes wide. I began to understand. Firing me did not just remove an employee. It legally revoked the software license. "Exactly," Harvey said. Under federal copyright law, specifically Title 17, United States Code, Section 106, Vanguard Logistics Group is now using Sato Heavy Industries' proprietary code without a license. Every second their servers run that algorithm, they are committing federal copyright infringement. I looked at Harvey. The legal weapon was in our hands. "Let Mr. Sato know," I said. I called Mr. Sato's personal number. He answered immediately. "Sawyer-san," his voice was calm. "I was expecting your call, Sato-san," I said. "I assume you remember the cultural guarantor clause in our 2008 agreement." A soft chuckle came through the phone. "I wrote that clause myself, Sawyer-san. I knew that leadership in your company would change. I wanted to make sure our technology would never remain in the hands of people without honor." "Bradley Preston fired you last night, yes?" "Yes," I said, "and he defamed me to the company this morning." "Then he has made a fatal mistake," Mr. Sato said. "He has revoked the license to operate our logistics system. I will instruct our legal team to send the official revocation notice immediately." "Thank you, Sato-san," I said. 20 minutes later, the news broke. Sato Heavy Industries released a statement. "Due to the termination of the registered cultural guarantor, the software license for the bridge link algorithm is revoked, effective immediately. All usage of the system must cease." The market reaction was instant. The stock did not just decline, it collapsed. In less than an hour, the stock price fell 25%. My phone started ringing. It was not Rachel and it was not Mr. Sato. The screen displayed Bradley Preston's name. Harvey muted the television broadcast. The office fell silent except for the ringing phone. "Let him wait," Harvey whispered. "Let him worry." I waited until the 6th ring before answering. I did not say a word. "Julian." Bradley's voice was loud, almost screaming. "Julian, answer me. What did you do to the network? The servers are shutting down." The IT team says they are locked out. It is not a virus, Bradley, I said, keeping my voice steady. It is a license revocation. You fired the cultural guarantor. What are you talking about? I fired you. Exactly, I said. I am the registered guarantor in the 2008 agreement. Under federal copyright law, Title 17, Section 106, your usage rights are terminated. You did not just fire a translator. You stopped the system. There was a long silence on the line. I could hear his heavy breathing. This is a setup, he whispered. It is a legal contract, I corrected. You did not read the documents because you thought they were legacy paper. You thought you could ignore the rules. Fix it, Bradley demanded, his voice shaking. Call Mr. Sato. Tell him it was a misunderstanding. Tell him we are bringing you back. I will double your salary, triple it. Just get the servers online before the market closes. I cannot do that, Bradley. Everyone has a price, Julian. What is yours? $1 million? My price was respect, I said. You could not afford it last night, and you cannot afford it today. Listen to me, you old fool, Bradley hissed. If you do not fix this, I will destroy you. I will have my lawyers sue you for sabotage. I will make sure you spend the rest of your life in court. You are already trying to frame me, I said. I know about the email you sent to your lawyer. I know about the story you told the board. I am done talking to you. I hung up the phone. Harvey grinned. That was perfect, but he is not going to stop. A desperate man will try anything. I know, I said. That is why we need to show the board the truth. An hour later, a courier arrived at the bakery downstairs and slid a large envelope under Harvey's door. It was a formal letter from a high-priced law firm. It accused me of corporate sabotage, unauthorized access to systems, and conspiracy. It demanded I appear for an immediate deposition or face legal action. He is trying to scare you, Harvey said, reading the letter. He knows he cannot win a contract dispute, but he wants to show the board tonight that he is taking legal action against you. When is the board meeting? I asked. Tonight at 8 p.m., Harvey said. An emergency session. Bradley has to explain why the company's core software is offline and why the stock has crashed. We need to go there, I said. You are banned from the property, Harvey reminded me. The security guards will block you. Peter is on the gate, I said, and he knows the truth. Harvey grabbed a USB drive from his desk. Take this. I have compiled all the trading logs showing Bradley's short-selling transactions. I also traced the IP addresses. He logged into his Cayman accounts using the executive suite Wi-Fi. It is an absolute breach of fiduciary duty. Let us go, I said. We drove through the rain to the corporate headquarters. The lobby was quiet when we arrived at 7:45 p.m. Peter was at the desk. When he saw me, his face went pale, but I walked straight to him. Peter, I need to go up, I said. If I do not, this company will not exist tomorrow. Peter looked at me, then at the security cameras. He reached under the counter and pressed the manual release button. The turnstile clicked open. I did not see you, Mr. Sawyer, Peter said, looking away. Thank you, Peter, I said. Harvey and I walked into the elevator. I pressed the button for the 40th floor. My heart was calm. I had spent 15 years helping to build this company. I was not going to let a corrupt executive destroy it to make a quick profit. The doors opened at the executive floor. We could hear shouting from the main boardroom. This is unacceptable, Bradley. Chairman Henderson's voice boomed. The stock is down 40%. The servers are dead. What is happening? It is sabotage, Bradley yelled back. Julian Sawyer accessed our network and shut it down. I have already issued a lawsuit. We will have him arrested by morning. I pushed the heavy glass doors open and walked into the room. The 12 board members turned to look at me in silence. Bradley stood at the head of the table, his shirt soaked with sweat, his face pale. Chuck Surety! Bradley screamed. Get him out of here. He is trespasser. I am not a trespasser, Bradley, I said, walking to the empty chair at the end of the table. I am the cultural guarantor of your core technology. I placed the USB drive on the table. Chairman Henderson, I said, looking at the older man. The logistics system is not infected with a virus. It is shut down because the software license has been legally revoked. When Mr. Preston terminated my employment last night, he violated the 2008 agreement with Sato Heavy Industries. This is nonsense, Bradley shouted. He is trying to blackmail the company. Be quiet, Bradley, Chairman Henderson ordered. Mr. Sawyer, explain. I slid the printed contract pages down the table. The logistics software is licensed to this company on the condition that I remain employed as the cultural guarantor. Under federal copyright law, Title 17, Section 106, using the software without this active license is an infringement. By firing me, Mr. Preston made the company's core operations illegal. Chairman Henderson read the document, his face hardening. He looked at Bradley. Is this true? Did you not review the license agreements? It was an old contract. Bradley stammered. It was legacy paperwork. Nobody reads files from 2008. I was trying to modernize the division. You were not modernizing, I said. You were short-selling. I pointed to the projector screen. Harvey, standing by the door, pressed a key on his laptop, and the screen behind Bradley lit up. It showed the financial statements of a shell company in the Cayman Islands, listing the trades against Vanguard Logistics Group. This is a record of Mr. Preston short-selling our stock, I explained to the board. He used the executive Wi-Fi to log into these accounts. He wanted the Sato deal to fail temporarily to lower the stock price, intending to buy back the shares and make a personal profit. This is a clear breach of fiduciary duty and insider trading. The room erupted into shouting. 3 board members immediately stood up to call their attorneys. Chairman Henderson looked at Bradley with complete disgust. Security, Henderson said into the wall phone. Come to the boardroom immediately. Bradley backed away from the table. You cannot do this. I have an executive contract. Your contract is terminated for cause, Henderson said. You are not getting a severance package. You are going to face federal charges. Peter and 2 other security guards entered the room. They took Bradley by the arms and led him out. He did not look at the board. He stared at me, his eyes full of anger, but he said nothing. The doors closed and the room became quiet again. Chairman Henderson looked at me. Can we resolve the server issue, Mr. Sawyer? We can, I said, but we will do it with a new contract, and we will do it with respect. 2 weeks later, the air was warm and clean. I was sitting on a wooden porch overlooking a quiet garden in Kyoto. Mr. Sato poured green tea into my cup, his hands steady. The market has recovered, Sawyer-san, Mr. Sato said. Your company has accepted the new terms. They had no choice, I said, taking the tea. The board had realized they could not risk another license revocation. They could not simply hire me back as an employee who could be fired again. Instead, they spun off the International Relations Division into an independent firm. I was now the owner of that firm, holding the exclusive license to the Sato Logistics technology. Vanguard Logistics Group now had to pay me a monthly licensing fee to use the code. I was no longer an employee. I was their landlord. And Mr. Preston? Mr. Sato asked. He is currently awaiting trial, I said. His assets have been frozen by the government. Mr. Sato smiled. Arrogance is a very heavy weight to carry, Sawyer-san. It is good he has been forced to set it down. He raised his cup. To the bridge. To the bridge, I replied. We drank our tea in silence, watching the rain touch the water of the pond. Over my 15 years at the company, I had believed that loyalty to a corporation would protect me. I was wrong. A corporation will always protect itself. But my value did not come from my title. It came from the relationships I had built, from the respect I showed to the people who kept the building running, from Peter at the gate to Donald in the IT room. Never confuse your title with your worth. Your title is what they call you. Your worth is what remains when you leave. Make yourself the bridge, understand your contracts, and when the time comes to stand up for yourself, make sure you hold the key.